Today I'm going to be running through the Winback Flow for e-commerce businesses. My name is Gavin. I run an email and SMS marketing agency. We've driven roughly $5.8 million in revenue through the use of email, so I am absolutely qualified to talk about what I am talking about, the Winback Flow. So the Winback Flow is essentially a automation that brings people back into the fold when they've made a purchase after a period of time has gone by. What you're looking at is an outline for a board that highlights the automation and how I recommend you build it using the software Klaviyo. If you're in the e-commerce space, odds are you're using Klaviyo and you're using a Shopify integration. The Shopify thing doesn't really matter. The real thing is ensuring that we have an email automation that is able to reflect what we've built here in this board. So a really quick run through what these icons symbolize. So on the left-hand side, we have this, which represents a trigger. We have this, which represents an email. We have this, which represents a conditional/trigger split. I will explain what those are shortly. And then we have this, which represents the update profile property metric. So a quick run through of the Winback Flow. The Winback Flow, like I said before, is triggered off of somebody placing an order, and it filters people out if they've placed an order while joining this flow. Because essentially what we're trying to do is bring them back into the fold, or rather encourage an additional purchase after a period of time has gone by. Now what that period of time is, that is going to be dependent on your business. I will discuss that shortly, but a lot is going to be determined based on the repeat order rate, the time it takes somebody to go through one of your products, all that good stuff. Now, this automation is built assuming we do not have any third-party integrations that are able to detect when it is time for us to prompt an additional order. There are AI softwares out there that can do that. We are not going to be running through that today. We are going to be assuming you do not have those integrations out there and you are doing this manually. So let's go through the automation. Straight off the bat, this automation is triggered off of somebody placing an order, right? Then we have filters. These filters are designed to ensure anybody who places an order is filtered out of this automation to ensure that the flow restarts when the order is placed and that the follow-up emails within this flow are timed correctly. So the flow filters are placed order 0 times since starting this flow, because obviously we do not want to be selling to somebody after a period of time after they've already made a purchase. And then we also have the refunded and canceled order metrics in here as well, because we don't want to be prompting a repeat purchase if they've canceled or refunded their order, right? There's no point in being like, hey, it's time to buy again. And they've been like, well, what the fuck? I've already refunded my order. There's no point, right? And also they have to be subscribed to email marketing. So we have that filter at the bottom that says has subscribed to email marketing at least once. If they have not subscribed to email marketing, we are legally not allowed to email them. So make sure you have that filter there to avoid any legal issues, but also just to maintain best practice, right? If you do want to get a bit black hatty with it and a bit weird with it, you can remove that. I'm not going to advise you do that, but just food for thought. So straight off the bat, they've placed an order, then we have trigger splits. Trigger splits are splits that are based off of people, or rather the action that triggered the flow. So the trigger split is going to pull the placed order metric. So you've placed an order, it's going to be pulling that piece of data, and it's going to be splitting them up. Now, how I've created these placed order, or rather trigger splits, is I'm splitting people off based off of what they have ordered, right? Because we're going to cross-sell and upsell different products after we split them up, right? For example, the trigger split. If somebody has placed an order for apples, right, and we know that because the placed order equals apples, we send them down the left-hand side, right? But if they've placed an order for bananas, we want to send them down the right-hand side because no, they haven't placed an order for apples. It's going to go down the no side. And that's going to keep splitting them up based on, I recommend collections rather than items, because items you end up having to do like a million different splits. Collections is a lot easier. So bundle up your products into, say, however you've actually bundled up in Shopify, and cross-sell and upsell based off of those splits in there. So let's say somebody places an order for apples. We're going to send them down the yes path, and we're going to delay the amount of time it takes for somebody to reasonably go through and use that product. These delays should be set according to how long it would take an individual to consume or go through the product that they purchased. For example, if it was an Apple, I would not have my time delay 90 days. I'd probably have it 7 days, maybe even 5 days, because I know it's about time after 5 days that they've either A, consumed the product, or B, the product has gone off and it's time for them to reorder again. That is why we have trigger splits, because we're splitting people off based on the collection of item that they've ordered, or if you only have a small amount of SKUs, like 5 SKUs, you're gonna split people off based upon the item that they've purchased, right? And the time delays are going to be dynamic according to that. Now, feel free to adjust the trigger splits to collections instead of items, once again, depending on how many SKUs you have, and set the time delays to be a reasonable amount of time based on when it takes somebody to go through that product. Now, these emails here is where things get interesting. There's a few ways in which we can design these emails. One, we can script and design these emails to encourage the repurchase of the item that triggered the automation. Once again, due to the trigger splits, we know exactly what that item was. If the trigger split was based on the item purchased, right? Or roughly what that item was if the trigger split was based on the collection that the item was purchased in. Should we wish, we can also include dynamic product blocks in these emails to display that item. 2, so that's one option, right? We can encourage the repeat purchase. 2, we can try and cross-sell other items that naturally complement the original item that was purchased, right? For example, we know that you like apples. Odds are you're probably going to like bananas because we know that you like fruit, right? That's how you use these emails to cross-sell into other categories. You can do both as well. That's another option. Encourage repeat purchase and then cross-sell, right? There is an argument here to add filters to these emails to prevent people from getting them if they've received them in the past, right? Let's say like I've received this email 90 days ago, maybe I don't want to receive it anymore. Personally, I think if the time delay is long enough, in this case over 90 days, I don't think there's any harm in sending the same email again. Odds are people aren't going to remember it. So personally, I recommend just going ahead and having these come out consistently over time. Time delays, once again, I want to give you a quick run through as to how these triggers work, right? The triggers work through a process of elimination. If somebody meets this condition, they go down the left-hand side. If they do not, they go down the right. It just keeps going until eventually they've gone through every single possible variation that there actually is, right? So it's a process of elimination, right? If they reach this final stage, in some cases you might have way more trigger splits, by the way. We're just assuming that there's 3 collections here. If they don't meet any of these, we can safely assume that it's a miscellaneous item, or the item that they've purchased is not in the it's not in a collection listed in Shopify or whatever e-commerce platform you're doing. So we want the time delay to reflect the longest buying cycle. So let's say we have apples, bananas, oranges, and we also have pineapple, right? But we haven't categorized pineapple. It will automatically go to this last email, and we want to reflect the time delay. We want the time delay to reflect the longest buying cycle that there is. So that's why we set the longest buying cycle to the furthest right-hand side here. Then we have a conditional split. Here we split people off after they've received this email, and keep in mind, this flow will filter people out if they've placed an order. So we're not talking to anybody who's placed an order or has been sold on these emails. This is just a personal preference, I like to have a conditional split here that sends people an email, or rather splits people off if they've placed an order 1 over all time. So if it's just 1 order, and they've placed 1 order over all time. So if they place an order 1 over all time, meaning it's their first order that triggered this flow, we're going to send them down the yes path. If they place an order more than once over all time, meaning they are a repeat purchaser, we send them down the right-hand side. Personally, I like to encourage a second purchase if they have not converted in this window of time here, right? I like to encourage a repeat purchase. How do I do that? I offer an additional incentive to get somebody to become a repeat purchaser. The first sale is always the hardest to make. You've made that. The second sale is always the second hardest sale to make, so on and so forth. Things just get progressively easier if... So personally, I just encourage the repeat purchase in this email here. Just say, hey, it's going to go to first-time purchasers. Here's an incentive to place your next order. Guys, I hope that all made sense. You have access to this board in the description of the video. I should have mentioned that at the start. You have access to this board in the description of the video. If you want access to every single automation that I recommend you build, all you need to do is click this link here, and it'll take you to a gateway where you can purchase pretty much every single automation that I recommend e-commerce businesses have. I'm going to give you a quick glimpse as to what that looks like. That is this. If you like the Winback Flow, you're going to love all these ones. It gives you access to everything: the welcome series, the abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, browse abandon, post-purchase thank you flow, everything you could possibly need when it comes to email marketing in regards to the automations for e-commerce. Take a look at it. Let me know what your thoughts are. I also give you access, or rather indications, as to every single software I recommend you use when it comes to email marketing as well. Just there. Any questions, guys? Let me know. Subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Thank you. Bye.